Hello, my name is Tanya Clark, and I'm one of the team leaders with North Carolina Housing Finance Agency. Today, we will be talking about the rental compliance reporting system and how to enter in buildings, units, and resident data. We're starting out today on the login page for the rental compliance reporting system. As you can see, in order to gain access, you will need a username and password. Your rental compliance reporting systems administrator for your management company can assist you in obtaining this information. If you are unable to contact them, please feel free to contact the agency. We'll be happy to help you gain information to get into the system. So let's get started. We have an announcement for our supportive housing properties. You are now required to enter your buildings and unit information into the rental compliance reporting system. This data entry will replace having to complete the qualified tenant role. If you need assistance, my information is here. I also want to make our other properties aware, such as our tax credit properties and our home properties, that you do not have to worry. Your information is entered into the rental compliance reporting system based off of the 8609s or the information that the underwriter provides. So you already have a baseline established within the system. So let's get started. Once you gain access into the system, your next step would be to click on the property list. When you click on the property list, you'll come to this page. You'll see what is known as the APN number, which is the agency project number, the property name, the city, county, the type of property you have, the utility allowance, the last known effective date, and any history as it surrounds the utility allowance. For our example today, we're actually going to use a supportive housing property, but the fundamentals apply to all. So as we get started, we want to click on the APN number. When you click on the APN number, it brings you to the summary page for the property. As you can see, it primarily has all of the information that pertains to this property. You want to then click on the down arrow under Property Menu to select the Buildings tab. So once we click the down arrow, you see various selections, but for our examples today, we want to click on Buildings. Once we enter into the Buildings tab, you'll see your APN number, your property name, and the tab you've selected. I want to make it very clear that when you're operating within this system, you always want to start from under your building browser. You'll click on your buildings, and you can see here that we already have one building listed. But we're going to add a new building today. So you want to click over here on the Add Building tab. So you're going to need some general information when you get started. When you're adding a building, you want to make sure that you enter the building name. You want to indicate whether you have low-income units or market rate units. Based off of this selection, you're going to tell us how many of those units that you entered are 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and so on. You're going to determine the construction type. Provide us with the place and service date. If the property is an acquisition rehab, you'll provide us with the acquisition date, and then the physical address for the building. Once this information is entered in, you'll click OK. Here's our example. So you can see that we indicated the name or the building address for the property for this particular building. We indicated that there are 3 low-income units. We designated their bedroom sizes. We indicated the construction type, the placed in service date, and the physical address of this building. And then we clicked OK. I want you to be aware that the system will require you to standardize the address for the property. At this point, you can click OK, or you can use the address exactly as it has been entered and then click OK. So I wanted to show you an example of this. Don't be alarmed when you get this message. Basically, it's just making you verify that what you've entered is the address that you want to use. So you can click Use the standardized address and click OK. So once the building has been entered, you'll click on New Building under the building browser. Once again, you're always operating from under the building browser. And you can see here our new building that we've entered in. So we'll click on our new building. When we click on our new building, we can now see all the information we've entered in. Our next step is to click on Add Unit. So you're going to need the residence file, and you're going to need some basic information when you're entering the information in. You want to tell us the unit number, the unit type, the square footage of the unit, the bedroom count that pertains to this particular unit, and whether this unit is handicap accessible. Once this information has been entered in, you click OK. Once you've entered that information, your unit is now visible under your building. So our next step is to enter in our residence information. So operating from under the building browser, you want to click on the building and then click on the unit. This will allow you then to click on Add Unit Event. As you can see, the information here is grade. So that means that so far as the system is concerned, it's either in the beginning stages or you've satisfied everything. And you'll see what I mean as we proceed forward. So we're going to go and click on Add Unit Event. As I stated earlier, you want to make sure that you have your tenant file in front of you. Reason being, you're going to have some information that you now need to provide to the RCRS system by way of the event type for this particular household, the event date, the tenant type, your housing assistance type, if it's applicable, whether this household is participating in the DHHS targeting program, the tenant requirements, such as your rent, your utility allowance, and your mandatory fees. Be aware, if you are requiring your residents to carry renter's insurance, and it is a mandatory fee for them, you have to enter it into the rental compliance reporting system. Your program, the units are this particular unit is participating in, and the income and rent restrictions. So here's an example of that. So you can see we're starting out with the move-in. We've got our move-in date, tenant type. We listed here that there's no assistance. They are not participating in the targeting program. We have their rent, the utility allowance. I want to make you aware. The utility allowance is entered or populated based off of your data entry for the utility allowance. So there's another tab within the system that allows you to provide us with the supporting documentation for your utility allowance. We ask that you update this annually. Once you've provided that information to us and give us 30 days to process it, we will upload the information into the system. And whenever you enter in your residence information, the utility allowance should populate. If you come to this screen and you're entering in and the information here is not correct, please reach out to the agency and we will do some investigating to find out what's going on. But I just want to make you aware of that. Once again, I stated that if you do have a mandatory fee for your residents, that needs to be entered here. As it relates to programs that this particular unit is participating in, you want to indicate that here as well. If the program is not listed here, you have the ability to enter it in under other programs. I want to specify something here because this is becoming increasingly important. As it relates to income restrictions and rent restrictions, this is solely regarding this particular household, not the overall set aside for the property. You want to make sure that you're indicating the correct income restriction and the correct rent restriction in the rental compliance reporting system. Last but not least, I want to indicate that we have a way for management to make us aware of households that have been displaced by a major disaster. We want you to, if this is the case, check the box and then indicate which disaster the household qualifies under. Once you make that selection, if it's applicable, you'll click OK. If that's not the case, you just want to review all the information that you've listed here, make sure it's correct, and then hit OK. So we can now enter the tenant's personal information. Please keep in mind, as long as the unit is read, additional data entry is needed. So our next step would be to add the tenant. And you can see, as I stated earlier, before everything was shaded gray. Now you can see under the building browser that our unit and our activity is in red, which for the agency's purposes indicates that this particular unit is considered open, meaning some additional information is needed. So our next step, because it is open, we're going to add our tenant. So click on Add Tenant. So with your tenant file now in front of you, and you're about to enter in the information, you want to begin to add in your resident's name, their date of birth, the last 4 digits of their social security number, their marital status, their ethnicity, disability status, veteran status, household type, and student status. I do want to make you aware, as it relates to the ethnicity, we are requiring management to utilize the demographic form. The resident has the ability to say, I do not want to disclose my information. If they state that on the form, we want you to honor their request and do the same in the rental compliance reporting system. I want to show you what this looks like. So we're adding in our household. We've added in the basic information, first name, middle name, last name, date of birth, last 4 digits of the social, and their marital status. But when we get to furnished race and ethnicity, honoring their request, we say no. When we say no, the system then locks down the remaining information. So at this point, you can no longer provide us their gender, ethnicity, their race, whether this household is disabled, whether this household has a veteran status. All of that is now locked down. The next step for you would be then to enter in the relationship of the household, and then is the household comprised entirely of students, or what their qualification is. So you would answer those questions and then hit OK. If they do disclose it, you'll be able to go back in, you'll hit yes, and you will answer accordingly. So with our example, we've entered everything in. The next step is to hit OK. So as you can see here, our household has been entered in. We've added their personal information. The next step is to add income. Okay, by checking add income, management can enter the income type, the income period, and the validation source and the amount. You have various selections under the income type. For this household, we're doing Social Security and pension. They indicated that the period is annual. So once you select this, you want to make sure that you annualize the amount that you're entering into the rental compliance reporting system. You also want to provide us with the validation source. And they listed here that they utilize the benefits provider verification. I want to make you aware that when you enter in that amount, you want to put the actual amount that you calculate. I do want to make you aware, though, that the rental compliance reporting system does eliminate cents in the system. So we do want you to put it in, but don't be alarmed that when you generate the tick from the system, that the cents will actually be displaced. However, with the calculation, it is taking it into consideration on the back end. So now that we've entered all of this information in, we click OK. The next step after we've entered in our income is to enter our assets. And for the most part, it's the same process. You select your tenant, you add in your asset type, your asset verification source. You can provide the agency with a description. Then you want to let us know if this asset has been disposed of for less than fair market value. And you'll let us know that by answering this question. The next step is to add in the asset value. You want to tell us how the income is arrived from this asset. If it's none, you select none. In this case, we selected the annual percentage rate, and then we provided the rate amount here. Okay, so once all of this information is entered into the system, the next step is to click on OK. And you can see that we've done our data entry for the residence information, for the income and the asset. And you can see how it's displayed in the system. You would think that we're completed, but we're not. As you can see here, under the building browser, we're still open, which means that there's some additional information required. The agency is now requiring management to enter all move-in documents within 30 days of the move-in date. By clicking on documents at the top of the screen, management can enter all move-in documents by the document type. So you want to come and click on documents. As you can see here, once you click on documents, you'll come to this screen. You can select your file type. You can provide a description of the file that you're entering, and then you can generate the slot. Under the file type, we have a listing for you to select from. And we ask that you kind of scroll down and find the actual file type that you're utilizing. If you need some assistance with this, please feel free to contact us. Please do not misname your files. That can be very problematic for an asset manager when they're getting ready to conduct your file review. So you want to make sure that you select the correct file type. So for our example, we've selected a tenant income certification. We've provided a description indicating that this is a move-in tenant income cert. And then we're going to click on Add Document Slot. You can see that once we click on that, the system generates a document slot. Management now has the ability to drag and drop their file into the system. My suggestion to you would be to create all of your document slots that pertain to this particular household and then drag and drop your files. The beauty of this is that you don't have to wait for the file to completely upload before you begin adding your next file. You can drag and drop and then allow the system to gradually upload everything. So I want to show you what this looks like. So once we've dragged and we've dropped the file in, the system generates pretty much a notification for you to let you know that your file is there. You can see here under my document type that I have my tenant income certification with my description, the file name, the date it was uploaded and the time, and then who actually uploaded it. We want you to go in once you've uploaded all of your files and view them. Please make sure that they're legible and that you can see them and you can read them. If you can see them and read them and they're clear to you, then we can as well. This will make it easy for you when it's time to do a file review. I do want to make you aware, the beauty and the benefit of this is that when the agency contacts you to conduct a file review, because you're entering them in within that 30-day time frame from the move-in, your file should already be in the system. All you'll have to do at the time of the file review is come in under the property management tab, click the down arrow and go to file review and review the files that are there. If there's anything missing, that's your time and your opportunity to add the information in. But if you're following this process, all of your information should already be in the system and it should be legible, and you will be able to promptly notify the agency that we can begin the file audit. So that is the beauty of taking advantage of this and making sure that your information is in the system. So once we've gone through and we've reviewed everything and we feel comfortable, we can now go to the next step. So the last step is to click on the Edit Unit event. Once you click on this button, you can scroll all the way down to the bottom and you want to hit Complete. This will signify to the agency that your data entry for this particular household is complete. So here's a screenshot, and you go all the way down to the bottom and you click the checkbox and you say OK. As you can see here, under the building browser, it is now grayed out. Once again, I stated that the agency now knows that your data entry for this particular household is complete. One thing I do want to make you aware of as well, you have the ability to generate the tenant income certification through our system. So once you've completed your data entry, you can click on Income Certification. It will allow you to print the tenant income certification, and you can utilize this as opposed to writing out your tenant income cert. So I hope that that's a pleasant surprise, and it's something that our management companies will utilize. So thank you for spending your time with me today and learning how to enter in a building, learning how to enter in a unit, and entering in your data entry for your households. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions about the rental compliance reporting system. And I hope that you have a wonderful and a blessed day. Thank you. Bye-bye.